Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Property Management 101, and today we'll be discussing the best practices to consider when managing your sites during the holiday season. If you've not already done so, please watch my disclosure video as well as my why I do this video. And if you find this video helpful and learn something new, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. This video will also have some crossover between my other video titled PTO and Office Closed. I'll include the link to that video as well in the video description. This will apply for any property manager and or maintenance supervisor in the single family or multifamily sites within the industry. Number one best practice to consider when managing your sites during the holiday season, determine your schedule. I would recommend you start determining this in the month of October. You don't want to wait till it's too late where it's more difficult to plan for some of these things during the holiday, but you also don't want to do it too early when a lot of individuals and staff may not know their schedules yet, or you may not have all the move-ins and move-outs finalized during that time. You want to really determine who's taking PTO what days your office are closed, what days your offices may just be limited with their office hours. Check with your vendors also that come to your site on a regular basis and see what their holiday schedule is. It may be needed to rearrange some of their work in the days they're scheduled to be off, as well as your days that you're scheduled to be off as well. So consider that as well as part of planning your schedule out during the holiday season. Also, you want to make sure that you don't have any scheduled move-ins or move-outs for any days your office are closed already that are established. So if you do, you have a couple different options. I've seen a lot of staffs handle this by allowing that individual to maybe move out a day or two later when the office is open without penalty of those extra days. I've seen it where the on-call person will meet that individual a particular time on site to collect the keys. So there's different ways of definitely handling this. But if you do this early enough, it'll at least allow you the opportunity to catch these things and make a plan for it so it's not too late. Number two best practice to consider when managing your sites during the holiday season, communicate your schedule. This is really important once you determine your schedule that you communicate this with vendors, with your residents, with your staff, and I would even include this in some other areas as well that would help inform prospective residents as well, know your office hours and or days you're open and closed during the holiday season. In most PMS systems, you're able actually to black out dates. So if someone applies, they're not able to select that particular move-in date on a day that you may be closed. So that's something I would work with your marketing department as well to ensure no one's planning on moving in last minute where you don't catch an application on a day you're actually closed. I would recommend to communicate this information in the following ways. Number one, make sure you hang flyers up around your offices and in community areas. Second thing to keep in mind is to send an email blast out, not only with your office hours, but some on-call directions as well during this time. I would also add this to your email signatures at the bottom once a schedule is established. Set up auto replies for that day, so when someone emails you or your staff during that day, they're going to get an instant response that you are closed. I would also maybe even include some information about how to get a hold of someone if there's an emergency. Also, I'd recommend putting up some sort of banner on your website as well as your social media pages. These are really good tips just to ensure that everything's effectively communicated. And once your schedule is established in October, I do think it's a good idea to start advertising this the ways I mentioned through all those sources as early as mid-October. And the last best practice to keep in mind when considering managing your site during the holiday season, keep in mind unique things to holiday season. During this period with extended days that your office will not be open, it is really important that you address all these items I mentioned and look into what is unique during the time frame of the holiday season. So for you and your staff are being considered and being managed. The first thing I would keep in mind that's unique to the holiday season is it may be wise before the holiday season and after and throughout it, you add an additional pickup to your dumpster areas if it's a multifamily level property. This is really important because a lot of times during this time of year, people have they're receiving a lot of boxes, they're buying a lot of stuff online, they're buying presents or receiving presents. What I've found for bigger properties, this tends to be needed to have an additional pickup or two per week or per month. So that's something that I would strongly advise you to look into as well and even budget for future years. Another thing to keep in mind, in some markets during the holiday season, crime really increases, unfortunately. So this is something to keep in mind with your on-call staff to make sure they're aware and they're planning for it. Local police departments will typically allow you to be aware of information what they've seen in other communities. So that is great information to share, not only with your workers and employees, but if there are things that your residents can proactively do and keep in mind, I would even include that in the email blast as well. Keep in mind things like who's going to run the compactor on days your offices are closed. Maybe it's the person on call doing rounds, maybe it's an employee that lives on site, but those are things to consider as well. And areas that are common areas like bathrooms or rec areas or fitness centers, I'd really make sure that any bathrooms that are in those common areas are really stocked up before the offices are closed for those extended days with soap, paper products, etc., so they don't run out during a time that your office is closed and no one's going to have the ability to restock them. And another thing to keep in mind is just making sure that emptying all pet stations right before. So, if it's a situation where maybe a holiday falls on a Monday or a Friday, that extra day worth of pet waste can really add up quickly. So you want to make sure that all pet stations are completely empty right before you close those doors. Another couple things to keep in mind is to ensure that all vacant units are all locked up and the heat is on. That is something that I think that double checking that can save a lot of money and damage and theft. So ensuring that is very important as well. And make sure everything that is unique to that season, whether it be extra dumpster pickups, meeting individuals that are picking up keys or dropping off keys for move-ins and move-outs, the additional crime that may be found in your area as a regular basis during the holidays, make sure that all those things are relayed to your on-call staff member. It's going to be really important we give them all the information we can to ensure that if there is a situation, it's handled quickly and correctly. If you do have any comments about this video or any of my videos, feel free to comment below and I'll be happy to address. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something new. If so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Happy leasing!